Welcome back to Golf is Hard TV, the golf show for the rest of us. We continue our series here at Bocherry Golf with a new special guest. We've got Stephen back. Welcome.
Thanks.
And this is Ron Nyhoff. Viewers may recognize Ron. We did some great response on the club fitting episodes. Ron is a club technician at Tashua Knolls in Trumbull, Connecticut, our home and favorite course. And I'm going to step off the camera here. We were talking about swing weights. I don't know a thing about swing weights. I'm anxious to learn. And I'm going to turn this over to you guys. Have a conversation about swing weights. This is a scale and a club, and we're going to learn a whole bunch of stuff. Enjoy.
Thanks. All right. Well, for all the viewers, this is probably the most common scale known in the golf industry to measure its a club's balance point or the distributional weight about the golf club. And this particular scale is made by Kenneth Smith. There's a few scales out there, but as you can see, there's a pivot arm here. And where the club rests, this is a 14-inch fulcrum from the end of the golf club. So what we're measuring here is the relationship of weight that's beyond this area of the back end of the golf club, and then from this point to the forward end of the golf club, it's taking this in two segments. And it's the relationship of that weight that determines the actual swing weight, which is measured in this scale. If you look very closely, you probably might see it. It's measured in A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. Actually can go on and on and on beyond that. And all it is it's the sum of it's a moment distribution around a 14-inch fulcrum. Now that sounds, moment, what does that mean? Well, it's an engineering term that basically what you're doing is measuring the mass of the golf club and its distance. And so it's so many grams times so many inches. It gives you a result number of inch grams, and that is worked on both sides of the golf club. And when that number comes out, it could be 4,320 inch grams, and that number is translated and turned into an A1 or a D0, like most people commonly would hear in their golf club sets as it being it's D0, D1, or C1, or C2, or something like that. Well, they only know that C and that number, but the number that got them to that is a simple distribution of weight for the golf club. So now what we're doing here is we want to look at the difference between the weight of a Cleveland 56-degree wedge, and in this case, what you do is you set the golf club in this position, you put it in the device, let it weigh itself, and then you move this slide. This is like a slide, just like a standard when you go to the doctor's office and he weighs you. He's moving this across a bar to find out the point where this actually lifts. And then you make slight adjustments by moving that back. And what we're looking for is this thing to actually find a point where the doctor does in the office to determine your weight. So in this particular case, this wedge, this 56-degree Cleveland, is D, and I would call it like 3.5. So that's a pretty standard swing weight for a wedge throughout the industry. Now, and that really has a balance point, as I can hold it on my finger. This is a great ratio. You look at the balance point and where that is in relationship to the head. It's very close. It's within this much distance from here, about 7 inches. Now, this is a 56-degree heavy wedge, and we're going to put that in the scale. And if this was a standard wedge like everything else in the industry, it would be about D3 or D5, and boy, we look at that and that thing is pinned down. So we're going to start moving the scale a little bit. We're going to keep moving it, and wow, and we're into the C zone. We get down to about C, now that's C. And then we're about B. We're actually in the B zone on this. And it's about B, comes out to about B9. As you can see now, this is balancing. Now, B9, wow, that's something I've never heard of in a golf club. Pings are in the C range, but B, I've never really heard that before. So what's going on with this golf? Why is this happening? Well, in previous episodes, we discussed a little bit about the heavy wedge, and there's a back weight in this, and basically what's in the butt end of this golf club is a steel weight that weighs 65 grams. Now, with that being installed in this, that's actually going to change the the balance point. Now, before I held this, and we found the balance point of the golf club, and it was somewhere down very close to the head. Now, in this area, and here's the reach that I had to the heel of the golf club. So this is much further. Has a much higher balance point, and in fact, it's about 37% higher. And what that actually does is that's what enables you to create a better angle, holding angle, set your hands quicker, and promote a more consistent shot pattern when you actually make a full swing. So between the two golf clubs, they're significantly different, and the question might be raised as to, well, what is this going to do relative to the rest of my set, and how is this golf club going to feel in my hands? Well, when you pick up this golf club, it's easier to manipulate this golf club, but in reality, this weighs 70 grams heavier than this golf club. So this has a heavier swing weight, referred to as a heavier swing weight. This one has a much lighter swing weight, but actually feels heavier, but is much easier to manipulate and handle throughout the full swing. So my contention would be that this club, after you swing this golf club, you'll recognize that you'll probably want to add back weights to all your irons because you're going to be swinging them that much better and that much more consistent.
Ron, from a club fitter perspective, what, as you're fitting golfers, how does this play into the story you're telling your customers?
Well, I think what we were talking about before with people swinging a golf club, the first thing that they do is they manipulate the club in here. I think with this golf, I know from my experience hitting it, it allowed me to stay right in that slot, create that angle, and just have the weight feel like it's coming down on the path in which I brought it back or on the path in which I want to hit the ball. I think we just saw you hit the ball before, and I was noticing, because I look at this a lot, where the divot may occur. And with the the heavy wedge, I definitely noticed that it was more of a drop, and you were retaining the angle, and you were actually going through the ball rather than releasing the weight and casting and losing the loft of the club. So your 56 became a 58 or a 60, where here you actually, a 56 is a 56 because of the weight and the angle in which you're coming into the ball at.
Great, good explanation.
I would think the one thing that you would have to be that you would want to convey to the end user of this is that sometimes you need to forget about what you might have heard within the industry about swing weight, and I think you should really be based on the results of how you hit the ball. Don't be swayed by a club that is so different or has a relative number that is quite different than the Cleveland. Ultimately, what you need to do is get out there and hit shots and see which one you hit better.